First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
What's going on, YouTube? Nathan back with another video. I hope you are all well. Happy Taco Tuesday. Hope everybody's staying safe. Again, like I said, I hope the work day was great. Hope everybody had a great day at work, school, no matter what you had going on for the day. Hope it was productive. Please forgive me. It's been a long day. I do apologize for this video being out late. I noticed I was going to get on 10:30, but some things outside of YouTube happened, and I do apologize for that. Before we get into the video, there's a few things I need to say up front. So a couple things that are going to change for tonight's episode. I was going to talk about the Washington Mystics. I was going to go more in depth about my overall reaction, my thoughts of throughout the whole season, what went right, what didn't go right, what stood out, what needs to be fixed, same thing. I'm even going to go as far as to say, and what I was going to do was who stays and who goes. And it's not. I'm just disclaimer. I'm not saying no one on that team can play. I'm not saying they're trash. I'm just saying they just do not fit the Washington Mystics. Because today they had their exit interviews. Just real quick, I think it's really just we need to really fix that, because to have an exit interview and then process just being eliminated from the playoffs like that, it's not easy to be doing that. So the video, I'm going to play it. I'm going to keep it fair, long as possible as I can. So that's going to be a bonus episode with the Mystics. My goal is to go live. I'm going to shoot for the evening. Just be the Mystics, and then that's it. I guess I can give I guess what I'll do, and as a substitute, because we have the Panthers versus the Texans Thursday night. Who wants to see that? I don't know what I really want to feel. I don't even know if I really want to watch that game. And then I got to talk about the WNBA Playoffs. Obviously, they're here. Then I'm going to talk about the awards. And then I'm going to talk about there's a couple of things I want to clarify. I gave my takeaways as a team that a couple of things I messed up on, and I'm going to talk about the Green Bay Packers defeating the Detroit Lions last night, Monday Night Football. But before I start the video, I have to give my thoughts and prayers to the family of Gabby Pito, YouTuber. Her body was found. This is hard for me to talk about because I hate seeing good people taken away from this place we call Earth. For a second, let's take gender out the equation. Nobody, I don't care, man, woman, boy or girl, no one should be treated like that. It just, I just don't condone it. I think domestic violence is it's just something you can't sweep. You can't sweep under the rug. We know what's wrong as a society. Again, I just look at it as we have to understand that abuse crosses all barriers, and it can impact anyone regardless of gender, sexuality, ethnicity, nationality, religious affiliation, age, all that across the board. I just really pray that her boyfriend doesn't walk away scot-free, because that shows me a lot about him as a man. And as men, we got to really sometimes look at ourselves in the mirror. Because that's, to me, if I had a girlfriend, fiance, wife, there's an issue, we're going to sit down and talk about it. Hitting, manipulating, that's just not the answer. That just really tells me how you were raised growing up. Shows a lot. It really shows me, as a society, we got to do better. As we have to, and it's not, again, regardless of gender, how we're brought up. I think just something about the boyfriend just gives me some bad. Just gives me some bad vibes. Really does, and it's unfortunate her life was taken away. And I just want to just give my sincere thoughts and prayers, and I hope they throw the book at him. I really do. But let me get away from that. I want to talk about football. A couple of things I wanted to take away. I do apologize. I misspoke. I said the Panthers versus the Jets, and mistakenly it was the New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. The final score was 25-26. I do apologize. Yes, those Jets. Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions. I will say they definitely did a couple things for the Patriots. The Patriots fumbled 4 times and lost 2 of them against Miami. New England has to win the turnover battle. They win the turnover battle, they win the game. Plain and simple. For the most part in that game, I could tell that they definitely cleaned up. They definitely, they still need to work on a little bit ball security, but they didn't have a turnover. Fun fact, I had to do this on my notes here. The New England Patriots are 167-18 under Bill Belichick since 2000, when they have a positive turnover differential. Mac Jones didn't look too bad. I kind of felt I kind of sensed a more conservative approach. He was 22 of 30 when he threw 100. I'm looking again at my notes. 186 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Again, I just saw more of a conservative offense. Zach Wilson, I'm not going to panic. He threw 4 interceptions. I definitely, when I look back at the highlights, he was definitely too aggressive. He was forcing passes. There was a couple of times where he should have just checked down. He definitely got away with that when he was at BYU. And we're not at BYU, Zach. We're in the NFL. But yeah, Zach Wilson's definitely got to look at the tape. Coaching, setting him down in the film room saying, yo, man, this is what's got to happen. I definitely think Robert Saleh definitely got punched in the mouth, but they're going to get back up. Unfortunately, he has to go on the road and face Denver, and then definitely, it should be a good game. I will say this: they haven't been in sync. I didn't say anything about the Washington football team last night's video. They really aren't playing Jets football like the last 6 of the 8 quarters. They got to play Jets football. They got to get it together. But I'm confident they'll do that. So that I do want to apologize for that. I want to talk about the Green Bay Packers and the Lions winning that football game. Couple things I took away from this. I feel like it was an overall good game. We saw Aaron Rodgers. We know what he can be. He kind of get right back to his old form. I look at it from the fact that they finished the game with 4 touchdowns. The Lions came out hot offensively, and then for a good bulk of the first half, Green Bay matched their fire. And then going into the half, Green Bay had 5 touchdowns in the first 6 possessions of the game. The Lions couldn't keep up with Aaron Rodgers in that offense. They just couldn't. Defensively, the Packers clamped down on Detroit. Detroit had no answers for them. They had 1 fumble and an interception. In retrospect, I have to come to the Lions' defense. The first drive of the game was 75-yard touchdown drive, and then to go into the second half of the game with the lead, they had an opportunity to put a knockout blow. I thought they had numerous opportunities and they didn't do it. The first 3 of the first 4 drives they scored, but I mean, when you turn the ball over twice, the dumb point was I thought it was really stupid was when they went for it on the 4th and 1. Why would you drop back to pass when you could have moved the ball? You could have ran the ball. Excuse me, Matt Campbell.
How do you do that? How do you do that? What the hell is going on?
That was a dumb. That was definitely a brain fart. Play of I don't know whether it's a play of the game. I would say the 50-yard touchdown Eric A-Rod threw to Devontae Adams. That was a good play. I just want to real quick give a shout out to Aaron Jones. I'm glad they found his necklace with his father's ashes because they said he lost it. And I hope it's like, please tell me that someone found that. I'm happy that they did find it. Thank God. The Packers, they face those 49ers Sunday night, who just beat the Eagles. Sunday Night Football, that should be a good game. The Lions, they got to pick themselves off the floor, and we go to the Ravens. We go to their home at Ford's Field, and after coming off a good win against the Chiefs, I can't put it on Jared Goff. I'm looking at the just the offensive play calling. Again, coaching matters, but it just seems like we just again, it's another instance where we sweep that under the rug. But I think the Packers will get. I think the Lions will get together. It was great to see the Lions will get together. It was great to see Aaron Rodgers back in his form because unfortunately, it's really this is what bothers me, and I've told you guys about the media and what they do. When a team starts off 0-1 or 0-2, they start going. Is it over for this team? Is it over for that team? Is Aaron Rodgers that guy? Is Big Ben that guy? And I'm looking like we have 15 more games left. Like they're even to the point where they're like coming out and they already have early MVP candidates. After 2 games in a 17-game season, pump the brakes. Okay, let's pump the brakes on that. Let's pump the brakes. But it was a good game. The Lions definitely. I thought they did their thing, and just got this little things. Now Detroit again, San Diego, Baltimore. They're coming in with injuries. That secondary is thin. So I know Aaron Glenn as a defensive coordinator definitely will do some. They're going to have to really be prepared. So I like to see Baltimore be aggressive with the passing, but I don't want them to be too aggressive. But it's neither here. And as I already said, we're talking about the Packers and the Detroit Lions. So, I actually deleted the banner. Hold on. I had my Baltimore Orioles banner up, and it's gone. And I have to talk about the Nationals. 1 second. Okay. So, little baseball. Great game tonight. We lost in extra innings to the Phillies, 3-2. It was a battle of the bullpens. Oh, lordy. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to lie. It was really good. But Philadelphia and Baltimore have the worst bullpens in the game. Ours is trash. JT Realmuto had a 2-run triple, and then that was a game. We intentionally walked Bryce Harper. Brandon Hyde said after the game, had a look at the video, I have the quote here. I didn't want Harper to beat us there. Realmuto's an all-star, superstar, top player, but I didn't want to beat him as well. I don't care. Be aggressive. Go after these guys. And guess who? And the guy they brought in for this, Cesar Valdez, who was just added to the 40-man roster today. And he was an out away, but Anthony Santander didn't give me enough effort. And it was a go-ahead double by Austin Hayes. So Anthony Santander, thank you. So you're the reason we lost 2. Valdez now has an ERA of 8. His last save was on the 10th. The only person we had on the bullpen left was a guy by the name of Brooks Krowski. We came into this game, unfortunately, 48 and 103. We have the worst ERA relief at 5.7. And the Phillies are a run better, but they're the 6th worst bullpen in the league. So that was really, really disgusting. Our bench was lacking. DJ Stewart. Let me just say this right. I'm done with DJ Stewart. You will not. I just don't see him back on this team next year. I'm done with him. Brandon Hyde did. We only had 4 guys on that bench, and he used them too fast. Ryan McKenna came in for Connor Green in the top of the 2nd. That didn't make any sense because Ramon Urias is out with a leg injury. And then the only we had was Mount Castle and Austin Wins. So, but for some reason, he kept Tommy Esselman in the game, hit himself, and then he grounded out. So, there was a couple. So I said Cedric Mullins was tonight close to getting his 30 for 30. It didn't happen. I guarantee he'll get it tonight. I mean, the next night tonight. Yeah, well, today is Wednesday, so I'm confident he'll get the 30 for 30. Just the gear he's been having. Damn, I can't say enough about Cedric Mullins, man. I just cannot. The Nationals won tonight. Josh Rogers, former Baltimore Oriole. That's what stings even more. He actually pitched really well tonight. 7 2/3. Gave up 5 hits, struck out 4, walked 2. The last time, that's his longest outing since joining the club on the 4th of September. Couple notes here. Juan Soto and my man's Keibert Ruiz had 2 hits, an RBI each. The Nationals closed within, according to the standings, they're 2 games behind Miami for fourth place in the NL East. I just I don't know. It was just a one-sided game. The one run for the Marlins came off of where is I'm looking at my notes. Miguel Rojas, he singled with 2 outs in the 8th. Andres Machado, bullpen, walked Jazz Chisholm, who's having actually a good year. And yeah. So I'm sorry, Lewis Brinson was credited with a single RBI in the 7th inning. But no, what the hell am I saying? I'm sorry. My notes are all messed up, people. I apologize. Okay, I messed my notes up. I have to go look. I gotta see how the Marlins scored that game. In that game. But a couple things. Josiah Gray starts tomorrow, and we go up against Eliezer Hernandez. So that should be an interesting pitching duel. I know Josiah will do just fine. I'm actually looking at the time, and I actually might go ahead and just make make my rant. The playoffs are here. Excuse me. That should say the playoffs are here. I apologize for my grammar. Tonight and last night I need to go to sleep. But the WNBA playoffs are here. We start off with single elimination games. We got the Dallas Wings versus the Chicago Sky. We got the New York Liberty versus those Phoenix Mercury, excuse me. Biggest thing I'm going to look at going into this playoff game. Well, first and foremost, the New York Liberty got into the playoffs due to the Sparks losing and the Mystics losing as well. Couple things I'm looking at going into this game with Dallas Wings. Enrique Agumbawale's efficiency. I think that's key. This is a very talented roster. Ogunbowale doesn't have to do it by herself. Marina Mabry, I'm a fan of her, but I feel like there are times where she tries to do too much. Great to see Mariah Jefferson back out there healthy. Isabel Harrison, I know, I just had a recent bout of COVID. Been praying for her. Just again versatile. I just feel like the shooting offensively for her is the key in this game against Chicago. She shoots better around the rim, so that should be key. Chicago Sky, we all know they love passing that ball, especially according to Vandersloot. They finished the season with an assist percentage. I did my notes here. It is 70.70%. That is the third highest. The last two teams that did that was the 1999 Charlotte Sting and the 98 Cleveland Rockers. Since they're the first team to cross the 70% threshold since the 2004 Indiana Fever. So I think going into this game, you're going to really see a couple things from both teams. So I think it should be really, really good. I'm actually kind of looking forward to the games because the games start Thursday. So let me just do it like this. So this is what's going to happen. So because I really don't know if I'm going to watch that Panther and Texan game. I don't know because but the Dallas Wings play the Chicago Sky 8 p.m. on ESPN2. New York Liberty play the Phoenix Mercury 10 p.m. ESPN2. So what will happen was the lowest seed will face the Minnesota Lynx, and the highest seed will face the Seattle Storm. So if the New York Liberty beat the Phoenix Mercury, they got to face Minnesota. If Chicago beats Dallas, they face Seattle, and then reverse that. Then we got the second round of the playoffs. That's Sunday. Whoever wins the Dallas versus Chicago game, Dallas versus Chicago, New York versus Phoenix, they'll face. So whoever wins at Dallas or Chicago, they'll face Minnesota. Whoever wins between Phoenix and New York, they'll face Seattle. And then we got the conference semifinals that starts on September 28th. The first two home games are against the Connecticut Sun. And then that's whoever wins this second round, they'll face Connecticut and Las Vegas because they're the two top teams. And then the WNBA finals start October 10th. My team, again, I'm going with it's not Chicago, it's the Connecticut Sun. I'm just eating my words. I don't know what to feel, honestly. Should be the Mystics in there, but it's okay. So a couple things that I'm also looking forward to in this. I definitely know what the Phoenix. I'm going to talk. Let me talk about the Phoenix versus Liberty game. I know a couple of things are going to happen here. I got to see how Diana Taurasi plays. They're going to have to learn how to play without her. When I mean play, she can't. The others around her got stuff. I'm not saying that they're not capable of doing that. But I've seen they've had good performances from Shea Petty, former Mystic, Sophie Cunningham, Kia Vong, Bria Hartley. It's great to see her back on the floor, after suffering an ALC injury. I feel so bad for her. I mean, the injury she's gone through, even when she was with the Mystics. the Liberty, again, my notes here, they've made 321 threes. That's more than the Mercury have made, which is 241. Definitely, that's the key. When I look at the wings versus the sky, I just feel like I want to see the Kalia Cooper versus Ngumbawale. I definitely want to see. I feel like Chicago's going to have her on Ngumbawale a lot, because having Quigley and Vandersloot out there guarding her, yeah, it's not going to work. But I feel like the X factor for Chicago is definitely, in my opinion, Diamond DeShields. Because when she's at her best, she's the second best. She's the second best. She's the second leading scorer, and she's efficient. But I love her defense. Her ability as a playmaker, both sides of the floor, cannot sneeze at that. Again, she's another one. She was starting the first year in Chicago, but unfortunately injuries, and then she left the bubble last year. It's one of those things we got to be honest. I can't sneeze at. But the Sky did average 83 points. That was the third best in the league. When Chicago's hot, you can't stop them. The only thing is, I'm just not really so. I just wasn't sold on them from the jump, because not taking away from the greatness of Candace Parker, but I was disappointed to see how the team looked without her. Because they pretty much they made the playoffs below 500. That's mediocre. So it's going to be two great games. I'm going to go with the Chicago Sky. I'm looking along the lines of 89-79. Okay. Phoenix Mercury versus New York Liberty. I'm looking along the lines of 90-83. Phoenix Mercury. So great games. I can't wait. I'm looking at the time, 33 minutes. I actually might go ahead and just talk about the Mystics. My awards. My awards for the WNBA. Man, this was tough. First and foremost, let me just say this. I just want to thank all the ladies for a tremendous season that each and every one of you've had. You all had a tremendous impact on the season, as it went into 25. They went 25 years. You are part of a fundamental change. You've done a lot, not just for the league, but for your communities respectively. I don't want any hate towards me. I'm not being biased. Again, of course, my favorite YouTuber on here, Trust Your Eyes. And this was hard picking these awards, because I talked about MVP, but I got to start off with a couple things. So let me put that as a banner real quick. MVP. And I mistakenly forgot to save the document where I worked so hard on. Actually, forget it. We're gonna go the hard way. So, gonna start backwards. I got to start with Rookie of the Year. Before I actually get into that, when I look at this class, there's a couple things I want you to take away from. Okay, there was really when I look look at this, right? When I just look at this draft class, right? Honestly and truthfully, nobody really stood out. I'm gonna tell you why. Because when I came into this season with this idea of what the draft class is going to look like, for example, Charlie Collier coming out of Texas, Kaiser Gondry coming out of West Virginia, but Michelle Oyeware, Dana Evans, Destiny Slocum, just really, really, just really hard to really find people that stood out. The biggest thing I took away from this draft class, they're collectively playing little or no minutes at all. Renee Davis, I know, had a stress fracture. The number 12 pick by the Las Vegas Aces, Ayana Rupert, with the Olympics, and she didn't play. I don't recall even playing a game at all. Jasmine Walker was out for the season after she tore ACL, the second game of the season. Shayla Hill played 4 games before being traded to Chicago and then waived. Well, unfortunately, all night they're 19 from overseas, so I'd like to see them back. Hopefully, I get to see them back in the league. Stephanie Watts was drafted by the Sparks, and she was traded to Chicago. After 6 games, they let her go. Kaiser Gondry, I feel like good player coming out of West Virginia. I feel like she was a top 10 pick. I was surprised Indiana took her, but she's on a personal leave. Aaliyah Wilson drafted by the Seattle Storm. I think she's not really getting a lot of minutes. And Chelsea Dungy, it's just a lot to. That was, I just named you right there. First round picks. The second and third round. Crystal Dangerfield last year was the first second-year player to win Rookie of the Year. Dee Richards, she was drafted in the second round by the New York Liberty, University of Baylor. It didn't surprise me because I know what trust your eyes, her defense, and it definitely was a game changer for the Liberty. Dana Evans, Dejanay Carrington for the Connecticut Sun, Ariella Garantes. They're playing and they're averaging. They're getting the minutes. But I hate to say this. This draft class was flat out did not exceed without the expectations. It was flat out just not the same. You had 3 juniors that were eligible to go last year. They went pro last year. Seitu Savali, Kennedy Carter, and Megan Walker. They were all should have stayed in school, and they could have definitely had an impact on this draft. I'm not sure, and again, I hate to say it, but I feel like COVID definitely played an impact. I feel like the preparation and the mindset. I look at Kaiser Gondry, for her to take a personal leave. I'm not sure. I know her father recently passed away, and I'm just not sure. Maybe just the preparation, because I did touch on this, and I think it was in season 2 of the podcast of some of these girls having a hard time adjusting. So I feel like that could be another thing. And again, like if you think about it, at college, the spring and the summer, we're not playing, no March Madness, and and I've already talked about how the NCAA, they do the tournament, the girls dirty, how they prepared and all those things like that. They're using yoga mats and 5-pound weights, and they got to go out and get their own food compared to the men where they're eating like kings. But that's the NCAA. I mean, I still look. I'm still holding out hope for this draft class. But rookie of the year, and I'm not doing this out of spite. Michelle is my rookie of the year. It was really, really hard to find anyone as a rookie for this class. Dee Richards was a close second behind her. It was really, really hard to look at this draft class and say, this person stood out, that person stood out. It was really hard. She's played 50% more minutes than any rookie in her class. I mean, I could have put Ari McDonald on this list. I had her third on this list, but again, beginning of the season, I just feel like Atlanta's just not the team for her. I feel like she was drafted into a situation where the team was already dysfunctional, but that'll change. I just look at it like, wow. And when I get to the all rookies team, that's really going to be tough. Most improved player, Brianna Jones, hands down. I trust your eyes. From where she was in the bubble, she looks like she's gotten in great shape more from last year. I just feel like Morena Marbury, I just feel like just does too much. She just tries. She's trying to carry the weight, trying to carry the load too much, and I just don't think that's her. Because I think at the beginning of the season she was like shooting like 42%. Now she's like shooting like around 34. But hey, listen, she's developing into a good foul shooter. I mean, free throw foul shooter, Brianna Jones. I mean, I'm looking at Brianna Jones. She definitely took a step forward. Same thing with Benaya Laney when she was with the Atlanta Dream last year. Brianna Jones is averaging 14 points a game, 7 rebounds, and I'll say 2 assists a game. Again, going into a season where you didn't have up until a couple games ago your franchise piece, Alyssa Thomas. The confidence that they've given her, and from an all-star, Brianna Jones, University of Maryland, she definitely is. I got to give her most improved player. Six women of the year. I have to give that to Kelsey Plum. She definitely averaged a career high 14 points a game. Last 3 seasons, she's averaged a little under 10. As a starter, but because of last year, she didn't play because of an Achilles injury, and she's definitely been a good spark coming off for the Aces. I like that. Defensive Player of the Year. This was tough. I have to give it to Sylvia Follows. Sylvia Follows, I believe, is 35. The only other player in the league that's averaging a double-double is Jonquel Jones, 16 and 10. Also career high in steals and blocks, which he ranks second in the league. I can't. Jonquel Jones, man, like it's. Oh my God, it was tough. It was tough. I have to give it to Sylvia Follows. I also considered Brianna Turner in that list as well. But I feel like she will win it. It was tough. It was between Sylvia Fowles and Jonquel Jones. Oh my gosh, I got to talk about my first, and I'll probably break this down a little bit more. The all first WNBA team. This was another one that was tough. So I this is again my notes, and for some reason it didn't save, so I only saved what I did right. But guards, I have to say Skylar Diggins Smith, Arike Ngubawale, Jonquel Jones, Asia Wilson, Sylvia Fowles. That was tough. All second WNBA team. Diana Taurasi, Chelsea Gray, Brianna Stewart, Tina Charles, Brittany Griner. That's my second all team. First and all second teams. Coach of the year, I'm going to have to give it to Kurt Miller. For a guy that didn't have his franchise piece in Alyssa Thomas, I have to give him props for managing the lack of depth to lead this team and to have the best record in the league. I'm not gonna sneeze at Cheryl Reeves. They started the season off 0-4 because they didn't have, the best, players being overseas, injuries. The Lynx won 7 straight games going into Olympic break. I think it's like the 11th straight year they've made the playoffs. I couldn't stand. No, Nathan, stay focused. Kurt Miller, Cheryl Reeves. Cheryl Reeves, I gotta give her some credit. Bring Kelly McBride in as a free agent. Ariel Powers as a free agent. Signing Lachey Clarendon in May, and also too having an all NBA female coaching staff. So that's respect. But again, I'm going to go over these awards again a little bit more, probably more clearer. But my MVP, drum roll please, Jonquel Jones. I really don't know what else I can say. For being overseas in June, the Sun was 2-3, and mightily offensively and defensively mightily struggled. I've never seen any other player that has an impact on their team that does it on both sides, on both ends of the floor. I've never seen that. I'm eating my words because I sat here and said, "Oh, the Washington Mystics are the best. When healthy, are a top 2 team in the league." And little did I know, after we beat the Suns and Suns in 2019, that they would be the best team in the league. And now I just got to sit here and just draw my head in sorrow and say, "Yeah, Nathan, you should be ashamed of yourself for not picking the Connecticut Sun. But I do apologize for that. Trust your eyes. But they're going to win the champion. They're going to win the championship. But let me get off that. But seriously, again, you didn't have Jones at all last year because, again, COVID concerns. She's averaging 19 a game, 3 assists, and one steal a game. Tina Charles is, to me, she's a team MVP. I did not expect Tina Charles to carry the load that much with this Mystic team. Brittany Griner gets some consideration from me. Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson. Oh, by the way, it was so funny. Dawn Stanley, I love her. I love Coach Stanley. Roasted her, saying you can't even get a double-double. She's averaging 9 rebounds, but she is passing the ball more. But she'll get the double-double. Cause I love Asia Wilson, South Carolina. I'm a fan. Coach Stanley. I'm sitting there like you just gonna let her just get away with that? Come on, Asia. But those are the awards. I will go more into depth. I got to do the all rookie. I got to really sit there and evaluate the rookies because, my Lord, this draft class was just disappointing, and I just didn't see good results at all, other than Michelle. And again, I'm not sure if COVID preparation, which makes me kind of concerned for the NBA's draft class. Well, let me take that back because we'll see. But really disappointing for the rookies. It was hard, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It was really, really hard. But let me real quick. I gotta talk about the Panthers versus the Texans. I don't really know what to expect in this game. I don't really know if I'm really going to watch this game. I don't know. David, what is his name? His name David Mills is starting. Here, let me look. Yeah, Deshaun Watson, ladies and gentlemen, until they get this this legal stuff done with him, you will never see Deshaun Watson starting for the Texans. And again, like I said, it really bothers me. You didn't hear about any of this stuff when they were kind of doing well. When the team starts slipping and he wants out of Houston, that just doesn't sit right it doesn't sit right with me. So David Mills is going to start because Tyrod Taylor's out with a hamstring injury. He injured against those Cleveland Brownies. On Sunday, Mills completed 8 of 18 passes for 102 yards with my notes here. He threw a touchdown and a pick. So David Culley made the announcement. Deshaun Watson, I think it's with 22 active lawsuits. Again, that just don't sit right with me. But I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to win this game. I'm looking along the lines of 24-14. I don't expect it to be a high-powering scoring game. I don't expect anything. Because against the Browns, David Culley made a horrendous, one of those. Wait a minute, hold on. One of those.
How do you do that? How do you do that? What the hell is going on?
Because it was at first it was a 3rd and 15. Brandon Cooks got it for 13, a 13-yard gain, and there was a 4th and 2. But McKinley for the Browns, he jumped off sides, and then he declined the penalty.
How do you do that? How do you do that? What the hell is going on?
Why would you do that? No. And he's one of our coaches from the Ravens. No, that's not going to work. That was the most that was just a bonehead call. I just don't get that. So I'm looking at the time. I'm actually okay with time. I got to talk about the Washington Mystics. Unfortunately, I'm just this is a safe space for me to vent how I feel about the team. What I liked, what I didn't like. Again, this is not a video to bash any of those of these ladies. There are just a lot of questions I have going forward. I need answers about the Washington Mystics. Where do I begin? First and foremost, let me pull up the roster. So many just so many things. So going into this season, we didn't have a draft. We didn't have a draft pick at all because we gave up all 3 picks for Tina Charles. Latoya Saunders retired. We signed Alicia Clark. Errol Akers got a contract extension. We got Erica McCall in a trade from the Minnesota Lynx. We signed Theresa Plassance. Natasha Cloud signed a 3-year deal. We had what was her name? Jackie Gamello. She retired. Then we signed Javonte Zellis. Alyssa Clark gets injured overseas. Mahisha Hines-Allen's overseas, so she temporarily got suspended. We traded our second round pick for Sydney Wiese. We signed Megan Gustafson to a hardship contract. Then we waived Megan Gustafson, our first round pick, and Stella Johnson and Kiara Leslie. We signed Shatori Walker-Kimbrell. Then re-signed Megan Gustafson for the rest of the season. We actually signed her for a 7-day, our third 7-day contract, and then signed her for the rest of the year. Nathan, what are you getting at? Injuries, lack of consistency. When I played those videos yesterday with Natasha Cloud and Tina Charles, body language says a lot. The questions that I have going into this season are just a few things. We really can't. We really can't. We got to let 2019 go, because who's left from that team? Natasha, Elena, Ariel, Shatori, Maisha, Emma. I don't even think was Leilani Mitchell on that roster. I don't think she was. No, she was not. So Tina Charles led the league in scoring with 23 points. I didn't expect her to carry the load. So if anything, Tina Charles deserves a scoring title. Not being sarcastic. I don't think that was the game plan when she came here. I think she expected to be on a team that had pieces. When I mean pieces, I'm talking consistent pieces. People knowing their roles. People showing me effort game in and game out. I'm not talking where you give me 20 points a game. All I'm just asking is for is consistency, knowing your role, Again, great example when we played the Liberty. I cannot tell you some of the defensive assignments. We're not getting on defensive matchups properly. We're not switching. We're not communicating. And her in that press conference, she referred to, quote, players that return here next year, talking about what they need to improve on. Which, again, I have the quote here. I haven't thought that far. I just know I really want to win a championship before I retire. Obviously, some decisions are going to have to be made, and I have to look into everything. I'm thankful for my year here and just to see how they do things, and that will help me definitely move forward. You just have to sit back and see what happens. You just never know. This is a great organization. How they treat people, we'll see what happens. That stings a little bit because pretty much she came here expecting to win a championship, and we did not have a championship team. We can use the pandemic as an excuse, but when you don't address when you're putting bandages, when you don't have the proper medical equipment, you're trying to put band-aids on a wound that's severely cut. And you're trying to, and no, it's just not going to work. My next question, Elena Deladon. She only played 2.5 games. So was she just not fully ready to come back this season? We're going to have to figure some things out. I love the foundation we have. Again, Deladon, Alicia Clark, Natasha, Erica McCall, Ariel Atkins, Sydney Wiese under contract. But they're going to have to do a couple things. You got Manisha Hines-Allen, who's a restricted free agent. And you just got to see what happens. I mean, All-Second WNBA team last year, she averaged 12 points a game, 7 rebounds with a knee injury coming back from Europe. She was an all-star potential, and I'm kind of hoping that she stays. Sydney Wiese, this didn't work. I just don't see her on this team next year. It was supposed to be this shooter, and I just didn't see it. I didn't. Erica McCall, she is a great energy off the bench. Great tenacious rebounder. I like to see her stay. Again, injuries was another thing. Leilani Mitchell, Shatori Walker, Theresa Plassance, Shavante Zealous, and Megan Gustafsson. The only person I see that stays is coming back is Shatori, because she knows the system, and she was part of the championship team. Again, I just feel like the Mystics are at a crossroad, and because you have a lottery pick, because then you're going to have to ask yourself, because it kind of reminds me of 2016, which is actually good, because let me see who was on that team. But this is what bothers me. This is what kind of annoys me about Coach T a little bit, because the Mystics I don't recall them even making the playoffs that year. No, we went 13-21. Roster. Okay, so this is the roster. Natasha Cloud, Kalia Cooper. We had someone, I cannot really pronounce that. I don't know her name. Steffi Dolson, Bria Hartley, Tiana Hawkins, Taylor Hill, Arvi Latta, Allie Maylott, Emma Meeseman, Leilani Mitchell, Latoya Sanders, Tiara Ruffin-Pratt, Kia Vaughn, and we had someone, Jamie Weisner. We didn't make the playoffs that year. Khalil Cooper was our pick. Some of the decision making, Coach T, and then this is not no beef with him, but some of the decision making that he does as a GM is really questionable. Because I just want to break down his draft history since he's come into this organization back was 2012, because the situation he came in was just not good. So obviously he came his first year was the 2013 season. That was the year was the 3 to C. Elena Deladon at the time, Skylar Diggins, and Brittany Griner, and we ended up with the 4th overall pick, and I liked that pick, and that we ended up getting the lovely Taylor Hill out of The Ohio State. We got Emma Mieseman in that draft as well in the 2nd round. We also got Nadara McKenneth. She didn't last on this roster that long either. I think she was only here for a year, and that was it. Come out of St. John's University. Okay. Next year, he trades Crystal Langhorne for Bria Hartley and Tiana Hawkins, because we had drafted Steffi Dolson with the 6th pick, and he made that trade to trade Crystal Langhorne to Seattle for Bria Hartley and Tiana Hawkins. In that draft as well, it didn't last on this roster. The next year, really, this is where he made a mistake. He drafted Allie Maylott out of Dayton. Trust your eyes. He really threw me off with that pick. Really quick, let me just name off some of the players that he passed up on. Brittany Boyd, Kia Stokes, Isabel Harrison, Natasha Cloud, who you could have drafted in the 1st round, but he ended up drafting in the 2nd round. Rashonda Gray, Benijah Laney. That's what he passed up on to draft Allie Maylott. And she only lasted here 1 year. In 2016, we drafted Kalia Cooper with the 6th pick, and we didn't make the playoffs. Then we traded the next year, going into the 2017 season. We got Deladon, which was still, to me, I don't know how we pulled it off. And for Steffi Dolson, Kalia Cooper, and Washington's 1st round pick for this year. And we also traded Bria Hartley and Kia Vaughn. So you kind of began to see where the direction of the team was going. Because, again, at the time, I think Taylor Hill, it wasn't the rookie year, but I think it was her sophomore year she missed because she was pregnant. Tiana Hawkins, Bria Hartley with the injuries, and Taylor Hill is getting with injuries as well. I saw what the team could be. I just feel like, especially the way things had with Taylor Hill, how that ended. I know she said publicly on Instagram she loved Washington, D.C., but she didn't really want to be with the Mystics. I think his patience had all really but thinned out with her, with the injuries. But we drafted Shatori Walker-Kimbrell with that pick. Next year, we drafted Ariel Atkins, Maisha Hines-Allen. Emma Mieseman didn't play that year because she wanted to get herself together. Okay. We signed Dev Peters. I don't even think she was even on the roster that long. we traded Taylor Hill and a second-round pick to the Dallas Wings for Aerial Powers. That was the year that we lost to the Seattle Storm in the finals. We got swept. Okay. But unfortunately, Deladon got hurt in that as well. So the next year, you draft Kiara Leslie out of NC State and you win the championship. Nathan, what are you saying? I'm saying, if you've noticed, I went off the last few picks. He doesn't keep them that long, at least max 2 years, 2-3 years easily. Taylor Hill should still be on this team because, again, trust your eyes. She can shoot the ball. Bria Hartley, I know what she can do as a playmaker. Trust your eyes. University of Connecticut. Natasha Cloud should have been our first-round pick instead of Allie Maylock. Kalia Cooper, coming out of oh my gosh, the school is escaping me. Rutgers. I know what she could do. Now she averaged her senior year. She averaged 17. She averaged 17 a game at Rutgers the last year. Even though she was coming off the bench, she still played a good role for the Mystics. His decision making as a GM, I question it. And I really feel like going forward with this team, it just, he's going to have to figure out a couple things. Are you okay with this team going forward? I'm not. Because if you're saying, let's keep this same team together next year, we're easily a first-round exit. And that's very telling. But I ask for your patience as I play this video, and that's going to end the podcast. I'm going to be very mindful of the mutes, of me muting the video, because I want you guys to understand their extra interviews and hear what they all got to say, and then we're out. All right. But again, just listen, trust your eyes, and yeah, take it from here.
We'll start with Kareem.
Hey, Mike, how's it going? How are you feeling?
Feeling much better. The last couple of days have been better. So, yeah, despite watching the games.
Well, yeah, not talking about games, just talking about your own health.
Well, that affects my health, watching that.
It was great to see Coach T back, by the way.
The blood pressure up a little bit?
Probably. I don't know.
Well,
sometimes it's yelling at officials and it's sometimes yelling at ours.
God is good.
Well, shoot, Eric got a little yelling in the other day. Yesterday, actually.
Yep. Ironically, although he didn't know it at the time, I had texted Maria beforehand to tell him it's so bad, go ahead and get a technical, I'll pay for it.
Yeah, he said he didn't know if he had enough credit in the bank to talk about the officiating last night.
None of us do. None of us have that kind of credit.
Well,
those fines are too big.
Yeah. It was a little interesting yesterday, but I'll get going. Once again, glad to hear you're feeling well.
Yep.
Have you gotten a chance to talk to the whole team at this point?
I did briefly after the game yesterday, and I just got off a team meeting call with them a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
They all met in person. I mean, I think, without going into a ton of specifics, because I didn't even go into all of them with them, I'm a big believer, in the old Bill Parcells one, you are what the scoreboard says you are. and we're 12-20, and we have a lot of reasons. Some are good excuses and some are not. But the fact of the matter is, we're not in rebuild mode, but we're in a reset button mode. We need to reset our culture and how we go about things, and we need to redevelop an identity. And I don't think we had an identity of being good at anything this year. We weren't a good shooting team. We weren't a great defensive team. There were days we were good defensively. We weren't particularly a dominant rebounding team. We were a better rebounding team earlier in the year. And so the fact of the matter is we weren't great, no matter how you look at it. And obviously, if you put, Elena and Alicia Clark into the lineup and you have, some of those other players available for more games, yeah, it would look different. But I can't count on just that being the answer. We have to fix some other things too. And it's a very simple fact. When you are, next to last in the league in field goal percentage and you don't shoot as well as you normally do from the 3-point line or the free throw line, that's got to be fixed. And it's not just, a couple players. We have, 5 players who played a fair amount of minutes, shoot in the mid-30s for the most part from the floor. That's not good enough. Defensively, we didn't get stops. We didn't protect the rim. We didn't, do what we're supposed to do. We're normally a low turnover team, and we were by the number of turnovers, but not to our standards. And the turnovers we had led to more points than normal. Usually if let's say you commit 13 or 14 turnovers, which is considered low in our league, but those can't be, those can be 13 or 14 points. They can't be 20. And those things catch up. We can complain all we want about the officiating, but the fact of the matter is our opponents throughout the year shot more free throws than us. And that's not acceptable. I mean, we lose a game yesterday and I can scream and moan all I want about the officials, but the fact of the matter is there's different officials every night. And so it's not the same one coming every time to penalize you. I've told that to several of our players. They're complaining that they're not getting good calls for them. Well, it's different. It's one thing if it's the same official making those calls on you, but when 25 different officials call the same call, then guess what? You're probably fouling people, so it's all of those things. And so we had people playing big minutes this year that wasn't the intention when we signed them. The intention was them to be role players and to, play 5, 10, 12 minutes, not to be playing 20 plus minutes as starters. That's a fact of the matter, but we have to fix that this offseason. And so it's, the coaches need to figure out, can we coach them better? Can we teach them different things? Can we improve how we practice? Practices have been tough. We didn't have practice guys, but that was the same for the whole league, the first half. So, but, we have to figure out ways to, when you're playing every other day for the stretch that we did, how do we manage that time maybe better? And it's all of those things, but talent at the end of the day, you have to have enough talent to win games. And my evaluation is through injuries and everything else, our talent wasn't good enough to win enough games. It just isn't. That's the fact of the matter.
Is it strange to kind of be in this position, talking about a reset when, literally just at the beginning of the year, we talked a lot about, you guys having this window, especially, if you count last year also, but you didn't, the team that you built after 2019, looking at that window, you never really got a shot to kind of run it with that whole group. Is it just kind of an odd position to be in?
It's a very odd position because I think what we did to reset our team as far as, signing Alicia, bringing Tina here, counting on Elena to be better health-wise. You can't, we didn't have any thought that Wiese would miss over half the season or close to half the season. It's a lot different. I mean, but I think a lot of it's fixable too. It's not. It would be different if you're coming into a situation saying, "Boy, the cupboard's bare. We don't have talent." We have Elena and Alicia and Natasha and Ariel Atkins and Erica McCall signed for next year, and so we have to figure the rest of it out. And we have a lot of restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents. Some will stay, some won't. There will be some other people out there in the league that we'll look at. We have a lottery pick now in the draft. The last time we went through this was the year we did the deal for Elena. We missed the playoffs. We had a lottery pick. It gave us a chip to use in a trade, and we need to use this chip that we have wisely. I don't like not being in the playoffs, but if we're not in, then we have an opportunity with the lottery pick and, some little bit of flexibility as far as, choosing how we use our cap money. We have an opportunity to fix some things. And then you still, like every other team, you're going to still knock on wood, hope you stay healthy. But we know the things that we're supposed to do, and we're going to go out and try to do them.
One last thing for me, I'm not going to hold everybody up. I wanted to ask about, can you update us just how Elena's feeling now and what the plan for her kind of moving forward would be as far as just kind of health-wise?
Well, I will say this. We have a meeting scheduled. We've had one already, and I'm not revealing everything we talk about. We've had one meeting with our medical, doctors and trainers and everybody, to try to formulate a plan. We'll have another one coming forward here soon. I don't know exactly what the answer is. I do know this. Despite her not playing these last couple weeks, she has made progress this summer. Much slower than we thought, but she has made progress. The setback is more from some nerve issues that are being pressed on that they're called radicular symptoms. You guys can all go look that up and Google it. But, for anybody that's had, those kind of issues, it's almost like referred pain in a sense. So we think, based on all the discussion we've had, that it's solvable. She is optimistic about it. Doctors are optimistic about it. But I just, we were in a position the last couple of weeks that just didn't feel comfortable putting her back in that position.
So in other words, for after those 2.5 games, Coach, you're pretty much saying you gave me false hope. Thanks.
And having a setback that was needless. And I just think that's where we are. And as we go forward in the off season, we will update people, hopefully more regularly now that we're, able to maybe do a little bit more non-pandemic. I mean, we have all those issues still in front of us, but, we were in a little bit tougher position. But I think we have a better grasp of some of the issues that can be addressed. But I think there's a lot of optimism amongst everybody in the medical side that she will improve a lot this offseason and be a lot more prepared to play. There's no guarantees, obviously, ever with that kind of injury, but I think everybody around it feels a lot more optimistic, and most importantly, she does.
Well, if that's the case, then why did we just not say she's done for the season? You know what I mean? Like, to play 2.5 games, and then he comes out with these comments about, well, she really wasn't. We really weren't comfortable putting her out there on the floor more. Then you should just say she's not going to play the whole year. Like,
that's perfect. I appreciate you. I'll let some other folks chat for a while. Thank you.
Yep.
Tyler.
Hey, Mike. I'll keep it on Elena real quick. It almost sounds like her tweaking her back in that game may have been kind of like a red flag that you guys were able to see. And was that kind of like a good way to read it?
I don't know that was particular. I mean, we've made a lot about that was a trigger point at that time, but I think there were still some other issues going on, and she was just trying to test to see where she was. I don't know that that's particularly why we shut it down. I just think there were some symptoms there all along, and that just probably magnified it a little bit. I'm not the medical person that should be, speaking to medical issues, but I just feel like, it's. I mean, she's talked about this before, but it's the issues of, can I just be comfortable driving my car or doing these other things, or is there some discomfort there that can be addressed? And I think that's what we're trying to address right now.
Okay. And I know this, with you being out and Eric stepping into being the main guy, I know you've talked about in the past how maybe.
Real quick, I just want to point this out. Mike Tebow is one of my favorite coaches, basketball. The man, he's coached well over 50 years. He's the winningest coach in the WNBA. He needs to be in the National Basketball Hall of Fame. I've always joked at one time when the Wizards, after they fired Randy Whitman, even before Randy Whitman came into play, he would have been a good candidate for the Wizards. I don't know when he's going to retire. I know he's talked about it in the past. I know that I know they're going to go along the lines with this. I know he pretty much says I know it's somewhere where he said he can just be a general manager. He's also said that, he just said one day when he wakes up and he feels like he doesn't want to go to work. I haven't watched all this. I know he talked about it in the past before, but I'm pretty sure he's going to say the same thing again. The team will be in great hands with Eric. They have the same personality. They know how to coach. And regardless, the franchise will be in good hands with Mike, with Mike Tebow's fingerprints over it and all over it. Because when he came in here, I mean, the franchise was just in a disarray. I mean disarray. I mean, we had good talent, but from front office to coaching, horrible.
Having a succession plan. Obviously, this isn't how you wanted it to happen. But have you learned some things about maybe how this process will go down the line?
Not particularly from this, because I think I already knew. I thought Eric did a terrific job, not because he's my son, but because he's an assistant coach that, has been placed in a position of doing this. He's had opportunities to go somewhere else to be a head coach, has turned it down to stay here. He's ready now. He's probably a better coach than me in some ways. We both see the game somewhat similarly, but the difference in age and the difference in how you view the game. Those are healthy discussions in our office amongst our entire staff. I've felt all along that when I'm ready to walk away from it, he's ready. I have felt that for a couple of years now. I have made no decision on a timetable for me. I'm certainly, I take every off season and take a couple months to say, okay, where are we? What do I feel like? How do we go about it? I've told some of you this has been the hardest year I've ever experienced in 50 plus years of coaching. But it's a combination of things. It's not just the injuries. It's a lot of things. The pandemic hasn't helped anybody in that regard, and how you view things and how you go about day-to-day things. This last weekend, I think only probably confirmed what I already knew, that he's ready. I think our players respect him, but I'm not sure I'm giving it to him yet either.
You see that, like he shouldn't be doing that, man, because he's throwing don't throw curveballs, man. Come on, Coach T.
One way or the other, this team is still going to have my imprint on it for the near future.
Absolutely.
And I don't like
he's
the
changed,
idea of
he's changed the culture.
walking away from
He's definitely done
something
his, he's
that
definitely did
needs
his
to
thing.
be fixed or repaired. And so, my job right now is to address immediate concerns with our team. There are longer term concerns to be dealt with, and we've got a lot of months to do it. One more month than I wanted to have, but we'll get that done. But I think he's completely ready for this, and he's done a great job.
One last one.
Sure.
With Tina signing 1-year deals, each year you basically have to re-court her into making her make a decision.
We can't court her. She's not allowed to be courted. She was courted in New York enough times that she's past that.
I meant courted, as in like trying.
Oh, courted.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know where that stands. I mean, I think time away from the end of the season is the first part of it. For her to, get away from the emotion of losing. I mean, she came here to win a championship, and nothing she signed up for went right. She signed up to play with Elena and Alicia and Tosh and Ariel and those guys, and wasn't intending to come here and be the go-to scorer.
And again, I know I probably just keep pausing. And again, the first thing that came out of his mouth, he said what he said, his response, that lets me know my fear that she may be going like, I would like to be traded. I don't think Tina's going to just walk away from the Mystics like that. I think she's still. I just feel like next year is going to be a better year, but we do have to make some adjustments.
And so all of a sudden that changed. And I think that, she probably needs some time to think about, what she wants out of her future. And, this is not even related to her necessarily, but how do we fit in our salary cap, what we need to make our team whole going forward? I mean, we have salary cap decisions to make, just like a couple other key teams do, that will impact us not just in the short term, but in the long term. I mean, Wiese is a restricted free agent. Emma is unrestricted. Tina's unrestricted. Emma's got to deal with national team stuff again with the World Championships coming at the end of our season. So we have a lot of hard discussions to have with our players and see how it all fits together. I really don't have an answer to that yet, but part of it is, does Tina want to be here? And yeah, we'll probably have to go through that process again. But at least right now, she has an idea of what her teammates are like, the organization is like, and I'm sure she's frustrated with some of what occurred this summer. We all are. And so we'll have to figure that out over the next couple of months. But again, none of that is something we're going to do this week. Free agency doesn't start until middle January. And, we'll be prepared with a plan. We will have interviewed and talked to all of our players, and we'll know how they feel probably within the next, 60 days or so. But everybody needs, when you have a season like this, I always find it amazing. Everybody wants to have exit interviews right away. And I think for some of your key players, they are better served to have exit interviews when you've had time to step away from it.
Yes.
And have a maybe more calm perspective about the whole thing.
Yes.
Trying to make all your decisions the day after you get eliminated is a pretty tough, thing to do.
I agree. Amen.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to see you're doing well.
I'm not being sarcastic when he says that. That makes absolutely no sense. I think like the Sparks today had their exit interview. Like, damn, can you at least give me like a week, like a couple weeks to process everything? No, the Sparks. Did I say the Sparks? I think the Sparks had their exit interview. Like, give me a couple weeks. Damn.
Yep. Thanks.
Scott.
Hey, Mike, glad to see you healthy.
it's all fun and good when you're winning consistently and you're in the playoffs competing for a championship. And now you got to do some tinkering. You got to figure out what are the fixes. Is that kind of the fun part, the challenge of trying to figure out to get back to that championship level, Mike?
Fun is a relative term.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the challenge. I mean, it's why I took this job in DC in the first place, because it couldn't have been any worse than when I came here.
Yeah, it was
the challenge of doing that and building it was fun. And I think there will be parts of it that'll be fun and some of it won't be. I think, there's going to be some calculated risks when you talk about salary cap balanced with injuries, older players. How many of those can you have on a team? We just had a discussion with one of our doctors that's a huge issue when you're trying to put together a team for the long haul. How many of those players have past injuries that could crop up and be a factor? And almost every key player in our team has that one way or the other. I mean, Tina's had her issues, Ariel's had her issues, Natasha's had her issues. Luckily, they didn't result in 3-month issues, but we've had them all. And so that will be an interesting part of this whole thing, is to a better understanding of what kind of medical or injury risk we want to put with all the other decisions about talent and chemistry and financial. I mean, there's a lot of different moving parts when we try to put this together.
I was listening to your answer to Kareem, and you mentioned culture, changing the culture, tinkering the culture. Do you feel like the culture has maybe slipped a little bit since winning that title? Maybe some complacency's been setting in a little bit?
I can answer that. Complacency is not the issue. I've already touched on this. I've said the same thing with basketball, football, baseball. These are results-oriented leagues. Okay, the taste of a championship is the taste is starting to dissolve. Okay, we have to get past 2019. I just said there were 7 players. Most of them, 2 of them left for free agency, 2 retired, and others, I don't remember the other ones. But you got to understand, a lot of people didn't even have us winning the championship. A lot of people had Connecticut winning. After getting swept last year, everyone said, the Mystics aren't going to go back after being swept by the Seattle Storm.
I don't know if it's complacency. I think part of it is a lot of different players. Everybody wants to keep talking about 2019, and yet the reality is that the only players on our team this year that had any connection to 2019, there were only 4 of them. I mean, Maisha, Natasha, 5, I guess, Elena, and Shatori when we brought her back. Nobody else was a part of that culture.
No.
And I think they've all come from different backgrounds. And I think that, and I say culture, it's not just day-to-day how you treat each other. It's style of play. It's the pace you do things. I think it's how you do your workouts. I think it's all of that. And
see, like that, that stings a little bit. Again, I'm gonna keep saying that stings if I'm on this team, because I don't know if you mean again. I don't know how each individually they work out. I don't know that for a fact. I don't. It's unfortunate. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. With this team going forward, because I just don't see what I saw this year. Again, the box score says a lot. I mean, we're talking donuts, bagels, Krispy Kreme donuts. I mean, we're talking 0. I mean, you can't. You got to.
And
just play the video.
I think there's been slippage. I don't know if it's from complacency or unfamiliarity too. I think it could be all of the above a little bit.
And, I probably speak for everybody on this Zoom. We don't want you to leave. We don't want you to step away from coaching. But when you do know that it's time, what will that look like? How will you know when it's time, Mike, to kind of hang up the whistle?
I've always told myself, and I've talked to people who have gone through this, friends, when I don't want to get up and go to the office or coach my team in practice, and it's more than a couple days in a row, then it's time. Ted Leonsis and I and Sheila Johnson and I have a kind of a working agreement that I can make that choice. And if I want to just be the GM, I can do that. But I want it to be at the right time. I don't know. I mean, I just know that I'll know. And there are days, part of it is this season, there are days you go, man, I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need this crap. But at the end of the day, I still wake up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning with thoughts about what we need to fix something or a new play or everything. So that tells me I'm still engaged mentally with it, that I haven't bagged it. So when those days go away, then I might be concerned.
How many years have you coached for, Mike?
50 plus. I don't know the exact. I started coaching when I was 17 and I'm going to be 71. So you tell me, whatever that works out to, 54, something like that.
You still got a lot of miles left on those tires. Come on now.
We'll see.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Jen?
Hey, Coach. Good to see you doing well. Toya doing well as well still?
Yes, she is. She was on the call with us. Saw the little guy. She's lucky. He's sleeping. I wish mine had slept. But she's doing well. Yeah, she's going to be a great mom. So
good to hear. Glad we're getting more.
Again, real quick, I want to give a quick shout out. Congratulations to LaToya Saunders and her husband on welcoming their son into this world. I wish them nothing but the best. And yes, LaToya Saunders, congratulations to both of you. But I'm going to continue to play the video. I know it's an hour and 9 minutes. But this is we're going to let everyone say their piece. This is the extra interviews for the Mystics. And then I want to end the podcast. I'm going to end the episode. Real quick, episode 9 will go up. The goal is to have it up Friday. I'm going to take a couple days, probably tomorrow, and just reevaluate some things about the podcast and just kind of take a little day off. But we're going to continue the extra interviews. I know after here, Coach T, it's Ariel was in this, and Leilani and Teresa and Maisha. So
For kids to potentially see at games in the coming
Yep.
years.
Yep.
I asked Tosh this yesterday, but curious to get your take as well, just on how missing the playoffs this time feels similar or different to the situation in 2016.
there's no difference, really.
It's a little bit different. I mean, it always sucks. So I don't have a simple answer. In 2016, we didn't have that same hope right at the end of still getting in. We had to shut down a couple players, LaToya being one of them, actually. She was injured. Ivory Latta got injured.
I want to say Taylor Hill, Bria Hartley.
A couple other people were injured. You know, we were bringing people in and out. Ironically, it was also an Olympic year. But
yeah, it was an Olympic year. That's right.
We spent the whole time after the break just kind of beat up. And I don't know what her answer was. At that time, it was kind of an unknown for us. We knew we were going to be in the lottery. We got, fortunate enough to get the second pick, to use that to go as part of the deal to get Elena.
Yeah, for
And
Stephanie Dawson and
my
Kalia Cooper.
feeling is missing the playoffs this time. While it's tough not to be in it, I can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel if we're smart enough to make use of our resources and do the right evaluations. Whether the lottery pick becomes a young player in the draft or whether it becomes a trade chip like it was in 2016, that's to be determined, and I have no idea at this point. We have some decisions to make on some players. Back in 2016, we didn't know that the Elena thing was going to happen when we missed the playoffs. So nobody could have foretold what we were about to enter. This time, for me personally, we're built. We say this the right way. We're trying to build ourselves with the ability to win a championship. The similarities is in neither in 2016 or this year had we made the playoffs. I don't think we're good enough to win a championship in either of the years. We would relish the opportunity this year to keep competing, go down and play Phoenix in a one-game playoff thing. You never know. But for the long term, the long haul, we're not the most talented team. And we were going to be shorthanded in every game we played in the playoffs. And I felt the same way in 2016 because of the injuries and the health of our team and not the talent level of those teams. We have an opportunity to get back into the elite group right now. And so that's going to be kind of the opportunity we try to take.
And, you know, obviously there was that midseason kind of experimenting with your bench in terms of cutting a few players, bringing in Shatori and eventually signing Meg to that rest of season deal. Do you feel like that gave you a better sense of, you know, who you might want to retain in kind of the role player category versus, you know, how many spots you might want to fill externally?
I don't know that did. I think that both of them, though, came in and did what we hoped for. That doesn't X things in one way or the other for next year. You know, we're going to have conversations with both of them about what our expectations are for them coming back. Obviously, Shatori's a restricted free agent, and Megan is
really quick. I want to go back to something that he said,
and eventually signing Meg to that rest of season deal. Do you feel like that gave you, you know, obviously there was that midseason kind of experimenting with your bench in terms of cutting a few players, bringing in Shatori and eventually signing Meg to that rest of season deal. Do you feel like that gave you a better sense of, you know, who you might want to retain in kind of the role player category versus, you know, how many spots you might want to fill externally?
Before he gets into that, let me say this. The Megan Gustafsson experiment failed. Her only best game she had was when she had 12 points against the Seattle Storm. Stella Johnson came into this season. He said it, not me. She was quote unquote our first round pick. Because she had a good outing in the bubble. And on top of that, she was coming off an injury. Kara Leslie was drafted from NC State as a defender. Again, according to that YouTuber, trust your eyes. And from what I've seen in the bubble, I think I know she had the concussion protocol, and I think the way that she was cut was just not right. But I think, let me just go ahead and say it. I feel like Sydney Wiese, I know she's under contract. I feel like that she's expandable. She can be traded. Leilani Mitchell, as serviceable as she is, I feel like we can go younger with her position. Theresa Plaisance, I just don't think she doesn't fit our system. I just don't think it's going to work. Shavonte Zealous, I don't see her coming back. I don't she's not a good fit for this. I don't see her. I think her next year neither. Megan Gustafson, I don't see her coming back. Shatori Walker-Kimbrell, I like to see her back. The Mystics, for bench productivity, I think they need a combo guard, point and shooting guard. That's one. Okay. I think you need a wing defender. I think you need another 3-point shooter alongside Alicia Clark. You need some paint presence. I think a center and a forward behind Emma and Tina. That's if they come back. Couple names come to mind already. Kalani Brown would be a good fit. I think it would be interesting for the Mystics. I'd like to see her because, again, I think she's like a baby enforcer. It kind of reminds me of a baby Shaquille O'Neal. And Alana Coates. We talked about getting out rebounded. He's talked about those things, and I feel like she would those two girls as an inside, particularly inside presence would help. Now, I understand they might clog the lane up, but from what I saw this season, looking at some of these box scores, getting out rebounded, excuse me, you need more. But I just feel like that's what he needs to look for in revamping this bench. Because I'm telling you, the way they perform, no. If I was in his shoes, I'd tell him, no, we're not going to re-sign you. We're not bringing you back. We appreciate what you did for us, but we don't see you in the direction of where we want the Mystics to be. That's just how I feel.
I don't know that did. I think that both of them, though, came in and did what we hoped for. That doesn't X things in one way or the other for next year. We're going to have conversations with both of them about what our expectations are for them coming back. Obviously, Shatori's a restricted free agent, and Megan is our reserve player or I don't know whether she's reserve or restricted. I can't remember. But there's an opportunity for them to try to improve upon what they did coming in. I'm happy with what they did. But there's no guarantees for anybody right
Megan
now.
didn't show me a lot. She didn't show me anything.
As far as if you don't have a guaranteed contract, you got a lot to prove.
But it's not really just her. It was pretty much the whole bench. The whole bench, just the second unit, just didn't show me a lot. Shatori, we got to understand she came in in the middle of the season, so she's already coming. And the house is on fire, and I just think. When it's a non-guaranteed contract, yeah, you do have to prove your worth, but it doesn't take It doesn't take. I don't know what you need to see. Your evidence points to the box scores. It points to, what you see every night. I keep going to say it. When you're not getting consistent, and you're not seeing any improvements offensively, defensively, you're not seeing those things on the box score game in and game out. Maybe you just don't fit this team's system, what we're looking for, or maybe you're just not that player.
So I just think that I'm happy we made those changes. I think it was the right thing to do. And I think that the two of them kind of validated that choice.
Thanks, Coach, and thanks for your time all season long.
Yep, you bet. Thanks.
That's all the time we have with Coach. Ariel is ready. Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. Bye.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, real quick. I'm just going to let them talk. I'm not going to pause anything. I'm not gonna pause because I just want to get y'all hear their thoughts and stuff like that, and we're gonna end the podcast. So I'm glad to see Coach T on the Zoom call. He looks good. Just been praying for him. With COVID, that unfortunately he tested positive for. But he's right. The Mystics are going to have to they're going to have to fix some things next season. They're going to have to. I just want to be aware of time, which we're pretty good on. So, let me just go ahead and continue just to play the video. You're just going to hear them talk, and not going to hear me talk, not watch the video. So, yeah.
Katz, can you lower the laptop screen?
Oh, I see.
Probably that way.
Oops, sorry, I'm a little slow. Hey, what's up, Ariel? How are you?
Hold on. We're having audio issues. Hold on.
Okie dokie.
Here we go. Maybe it's on here. The volume is it? Yeah, it says settings using your microphone. Oh, there. That's why I got it. It was on it right there. Try again.
Hey, me try again? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are we ready? I want me to start.
They had it all the way up there. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, just saying what's up again. Appreciate the time. Obviously, I know this is kind of a quick turnaround, and after everything kind of ended last night, but I'm just curious, when you look back and just kind of think back of the season, what are kind of some of the things that stand out the most to you? I know so much adversity that you guys kind of had to overcome between folks missing games and this, that, and the other, but what are the major things that stood out to you about this season, or maybe areas that you guys kind of fell short that you got to progress in?
Yeah. I think the thing that stood out to me the most is how we aren't great at one thing. I think if you look across the teams in the league, there's one thing that a few teams in this league can hang their hat on, one thing that they're going to do well every single night. And I'm not sure we gained that consistency as far as a team. And then individually, I just think I need to be better. If my teammates are going to trust me with the ball in my hands, not majority of the game, but most of our offensive sets, I think I can be better with time scoring situation, and then also being better defensively.
That's what I was going to say. At this point, do you get away from it all and take a break and try to mentally clear out, or are you one of those ones that are like, I want to get back in the gym right now and start working on some of these things?
Yeah, well, definitely can't stop working out. Gotta go play overseas. But I do have to unplug just for a little bit. It's been a pretty tough year, just with everything that we've honestly been dealing with in the world for the past 2 years. So just taking that time to kind of unwind a little bit, and give myself kind of that grace, honestly, to be like, hey, at the end of the day, this is where we are. You got to be where your feet are. This is what happened. And in about 2 or 3 days from now, I'll deep dive into it and figure out what it is that I need to get better at and what it is that I need to be working on.
Mike talked a lot about, there could be some changes. There's the 4 core of you that are kind of still under contract, but there's a lot of decisions to be made, just salary cap wise, roster wise, all these kind of things. I don't know. Is it frustrating to think that, I know we were talking about, you guys kind of having this window with this group, kind of last year and this year, and for lots of reasons, it never worked out because of a ton of different reasons. Is it almost frustrating to kind of look back and think of what could have been, and just the fact that it never all materialized?
Yeah, but it is what it is. It's the nature of sports. Sometimes it goes your way and you do really well. Sometimes it goes your way and you just fell at the end. And sometimes it just doesn't go your way at all. It is what it is. It's not like we can change anything about it. I think, we all feel like we could have found a way to do better with the cards that we were dealt. But at the end of the day, again, it is what it is. This is where we are. This is what we're dealing with. And we have to move forward from here.
Cool. I'll share with other folks so I don't take up too much time. But thank you. I appreciate it. And, appreciate everything all season.
Appreciate you, Kareem.
Jen.
Hey, Ariel. Good to see you, but sorry about the loss yesterday.
Thank you.
Do you watch the playoffs now that you guys are eliminated, or how does that normally work for you?
I don't know. I've always been in playoffs. I guess I might watch it. I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna be feeling. I don't even know how I'm feeling right now, to be honest with you. Besides anger and kind of frustration with myself. Yeah, I don't know.
And Tosh mentioned yesterday that all the adversity you guys have gone through this season is going to make you guys better players and better people. And just curious, from your perspective, what has this season taught you personally, or how do you think it's going to make you better?
Ooh, there's a lot can be said right there. I think personally it's helped me see where I am as a basketball player and as a leader, and see where I need to grow. I know there are some things that I do well, and then there are some things that I just haven't taken the time to deep dive into, and that I don't do well. And it's really forced me to see everything at face value for what it is. We didn't have any Band-Aids, any coverings, anything to cover up what we had going on this year. It was all out in the open. And I think that was good for me personally, because it allowed me to see how I thrive or don't thrive in situations where it's just really tough.
And then last thing for me real quick, you mentioned wanting to get better defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And, from where I'm sitting as decidedly a non-expert, you're a pretty darn good defender. So what does improving on the defensive end look like?
My movements and the way that I'm able to guard the ball. I think I'm a good off the ball defender. I think I can do a lot better job of defending on the ball, as far as getting over screens, not getting hit by screens, and communicating earlier and talking louder for my teammates.
Thanks, Ariel, and thanks so much for your time all season.
Yeah, thank you, Jen.
Tyler.
Hey, Ariel.
Hey,
Good to see you, obviously, under these circumstances. One of the things, though, that's the coolest things to me in sports is a player getting a contract extension and then be able to continue the ascension of their career. And we really saw that from you this season with your scoring. I know you said there's a lot of stuff that you still want to improve on, but how fulfilling is it for you that you can continue to make steps forward at this point in your career?
Yeah, it feels good. Obviously, this has been my first home as a pro, and I love it here. I'm learning to love the city. I'm not a city person, but I'm learning to love it. And the fans and the people and the community that DC has surrounded us with, just pure love and fight. So I'm thankful that I was able to extend my contract, and also to be a part of an organization that believes in me and wants me to do well and wants to help me grow as a human and as a basketball player. So it's pretty cool, and I'm thankful to be here.
And a quick question about Natasha. I know this season was hard on her a lot, and I know for the entire team, you guys were forced to carry a heavy burden throughout the entire season with just things been thrown at you. How was she able in the locker room and at practices able to keep you guys together and keep you guys focused? And I know she talked about coming from the back from the Olympic break, re-energized in a new purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, Tasha's just full of energy. And her energy is contagious, whether it's fiery or whether it's just a laugh. Tasha's energy is just contagious. And I'm so thankful to have her at our PG spot. She's a fiery leader, and I really appreciate that about her because she knows how to light a fire under her players, under her teammates. And I think she got better this year as a leader. I think she was tested a lot this year as a leader. And I do think she rose to the occasion. I think she stepped up. I know she stepped up. And I think she became a different type of leader this year than what she probably thought she would have had to be at the beginning of this year. So I really have been thankful to be aside of watching Tosh grow. And I think this was a really big year for her. And I'm extremely excited to watch her come back next year and see what we can do.
Thanks, Ariel. All the best this offseason.
Thank you.
Last question to Gabe.
I think you're muted. Is that us?
No, Gabe, can you hear us? I think he's having technical difficulties.
Sorry, Gabe.
And that concludes media for Ariel because we're on really tight time constraints right now. So
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ariel, for your time. Always appreciate it.
Rough night. Ooh. Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, how's it going, Kareem?
Good. I think I heard Kara said I should start. So I think I'm going to start. Thanks for taking out the time. Appreciate it. For both of y'all, say almost the same question. You know what? When you kind of reflect back on the season, kind of what stands out for you? Because this obviously wasn't the group and the structure and what y'all thought was going to set up when we were, when this team was constructed back in spring. Tracy, you had to play different roles than was expected. What are the biggest things that kind of stand out to y'all when you kind of reflect on how all of this played out?
I mean, like you said, it wasn't the way it was initially supposed to be set up. But then obviously injuries were a big thing. I don't like to make excuses. So I think even with all the injuries and issues that we dealt with, I think we still underachieved for who we had on the court most of the time. And I guess that just goes to being inconsistent. And I think that's a big word for this team. As bad as it sounds, it's the truth. And we were just way too inconsistent.
I just piggyback on what she said. We obviously this year, with just player availability and everything that happened, it was a difficult season to try to develop consistency. And within that, just within ourselves as a group and with injuries and stuff, different lineups, it was really hard to remain consistent in a lot of things. And the things that we could have done better that were in our control, we just also fell short on as well. So this was, not the season that we wanted. This isn't the season that we were looking forward to coming into personnel-wise, and especially as the season went on. But this was very disappointing.
I mean, I think we were talking about it the other day, and what did we come up? I think there was 3 people who were available for every game throughout the season. That's just crazy when you think about it, So like I said, as much as I don't like to make excuses, that is the reality of it, is that we had a lot of injuries this year.
Have you two, both of you, I believe both of you are free agents kind of going into this off season. Have you even started to think about that, or is that too soon? Just, I guess, how do you kind of approach that? Have you even thought about it yet?
No, I haven't really thought about it, to be honest.
I haven't thought about it at all. I didn't expect our season to be over with today. So this was,
Yeah, I know that's a quick turnaround and kind of a weird question to ask right now. Mike even said, it's weird talking about some of this stuff literally the day after the season kind of ends. And I'm just gonna ask one more from me. What was the struggle to find an identity? Or, Mike kind of said, we never found an identity throughout the season. One thing that you guys could kind of hang your head on, that this is, what we do best. Is that struggle still something kind of like we were just talking about, the fact that, it's hard to do so when you've got people in and out of the lineup, or what was the issue in trying to find that identity as a group?
I just feel like it was a season of a lot of different things, unexpected things being thrown at us, as well as a combination of just knowing who's available and not available, and coming into games where, we have people that are better shooters, we have people that are better rebounders, and having different people in lineups makes statistics look different, makes the game look different depending on who's available and who's not. And, throughout the season, we've just struggled finding out what we brought to the table as a whole consistently as well. And it's really tough because it feels like the season shouldn't be over. It just feels like we ran out of time because we never really turned the corner and capitalized on a lot of things that were fixable. And it's sad knowing that we cannot play any longer today. And yeah.
Well said.
Okay, well, thank you. Ooh, last one for me. Sorry. Just Teresa, real quick. How are you feeling? I know that back started flare up on you down the stretch. How are you feeling physically?
I'm feeling fine. Yeah, I was feeling okay. Just those little things here and there, but it's been the whole season of just trying to maintain, what's working for my body and not. But I feel I was available for, every game this season. That's due to a lot of treatment, a lot of work on and off the court to just keep my body in a place where I could be in a tolerable state. I think this offseason is going to be a focus on really, crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's and making sure that this back thing doesn't linger any further. Because although I do feel substantially better, there are a few things that still need to be addressed. And I think that spending some time on it in the offseason, I'll definitely be able to come back and play in a pain-free state.
Cool. Thank y'all. I'll set up. Appreciate everything all season long, y'all.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Graham. We
Graham.
appreciate you.
Jen?
Hey guys, sorry about the loss, and thank you so much for taking the time today. Teresa, I hope both you and Elena heal up and bury the Bad Backs Club for good.
Yeah, we're not going to bring that back next season. We're just kind of going to leave it here in 2021. So
Sounds good. Tosh was telling us yesterday after the game that she thinks that the adversity that you guys faced all season is going to make you better, not only as players, but just as people. And I'm curious from your perspective, kind of similar to Kareem's question, but for you both individually, what do you feel like this season has taught you, or how do you feel like it's going to make you better?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had to be super resilient. With the injuries, we didn't know who was playing in what game. But not only that, also when we would show up every day, we didn't even know who was going to practice because there were people playing in games that weren't practicing as well. So that makes it hard to improve and get better on your days off. And then normally you're allowed to have, male practice players come in, but because of COVID, that wasn't allowed until the last few weeks of the season. So, it's hard to come up with practice plans and do certain things when you only have 5-6 people available. But so I think it took a lot of resilience out of all of us to just keep coming in every single day, no matter what the circumstances were, and working hard and just going with whoever we had. I know it's probably super frustrating for the coaches as well, Shalisa and the training staff. I don't think they've probably ever been so busy in their careers. So, we'd like to thank them as well. But, going forward, sometimes injuries happen just out of pure bad luck. Sometimes possibly you could do a little more with your recovery or pre-training that could help prevent those injuries. So I think everyone is sort of looking at taking all aspects of that a little more serious, and making sure that we are doing everything we can before in order to prevent those injuries, hopefully.
We are on time. Oh, I'm sorry, Jen.
Sorry, I was just going to ask real quick, Leilani, does the loss mean that you get to go home, pretty soon here?
I wish I could say yes, but because Australia, their international borders are shut, and they've had a flare in cases over the last few months, so they've reduced the amount of people again who can come into Australia. So flights are few and far between, and as of now, I don't have a flight until late October. So I'll be around for a little longer.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'll cross my fingers for you. Thank you both so much for your time all season. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We are on time constraints, so if you could just keep it to 1 or 2 questions, we'll go to Kellen next.
Hey everyone, Leilani, I think you said that the word you used for this season was inconsistency. How much of that do you attribute to, like we've all talked about, the injuries, having only 3 players play all the games, and how much do you attribute that to some of the more maybe controllable things?
Oh, I mean, I can't give a percentage because it's hard to say. If you don't have time with your teammates or the core group or the people who are playing the most minutes, it's hard to find that consistency. It really is, because you've got to not only get a feel and a flow yourself, but then you need to build that chemistry with your teammates. And how can you do that if you're, out there for limited minutes, or you're in a few games and then you're out for a month, or whatever it is. So, I mean, I think a lot of it is the injuries, because then it also takes a toll on people who might be stepping into those positions once the starters are out, because you're suddenly asked to do different things that maybe you don't usually do, or you weren't brought here to do. And you can, try as hard as you can, but obviously everyone brings something different to the team. And when coach sets up this team, he has those certain players in mind of how his team's going to work, how it's going to flow, what plays he puts in for people. And then when that, gets jerked around in different directions every week, nearly, it's hard because, now he's trying to figure out different rotations and people who do different things than maybe the style that he wanted to play. So there's a lot that goes into it.
That was a very coach-like answer. Thank you.
Tyler.
Hey, my quick questions for Leilani. You talked about the difficulties of going back to Australia, and I know COVID's kind of been hard on everybody getting to a season and having to go through your normal routines, but how has it been for you to just not have your normal structure to fall back on now for 2 seasons, as some people may have been able to see some little comforts this past year?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been hard for everybody. Last year in the bubble, I guess a lot more people can relate to me because they went through that in the bubble, and that's sort of how I felt this year, just being away from my family again. So like you said, it's been 2 years. So it's been 5 months and 3 days since I've seen my family. So it was really hard. Just when you come home from a game and you're not feeling well or you're disappointed and you see your family, it instantly lifts you up and makes you realize that, while basketball is super important to us and something that we all love to do and provides, this lifestyle that we have. At the same time, there's more to this, and there's more to us as people than just what you see on the basketball court, and our family is what gets us through that, and what gives us more meaning to life. And so to not have that, it definitely makes it hard. But there's a lot of us that are living in different cities from where we grew up or where our families are. So with COVID, it's restricted people, even just here in America. Families haven't been able to come. TP's family's been through a lot with the hurricane and all that. So there's a lot of issues that we deal with outside in our own personal life that makes it hard.
Thank you. And thank you both for the whole season. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Last question to Rafiq.
Hey guys, sorry you couldn't make the postseason. I just want to ask you, like, what are some of the lessons that you learned throughout the season as far as putting together a much better team?
I think some of the lessons that we learned along the way have to do with, what we were doing off the court. I think that when you are so limited within personnel and every day you don't know who's either in the games or in practices or whatnot, what we were doing in the film room, we learned a lot, being able to see it on film, making mental reps, doing things of that nature, and being able to apply it on the floor didn't translate as well as we would like. I think there was a lot of things being said, and what we were physically doing was a completely different thing. I think throughout the season, we needed to get better with our discipline, with our scouting report discipline, with understanding what our game schemes were. And there's been quite a few times where we just didn't do what was asked. But moving forward, I feel like this group has a lot of potential. We have a bunch of really talented players here and a great staff. And I think that finding the pieces that cohesively work with things that we can do that we can control outside of injuries and things of that nature is important for us to do to move forward. And I think that's something that's easily fixable in the off season.
And a follow-up question for you, Teresa. What do you plan to do to work on your game throughout this off season, since you have literally until next May to continue playing WNBA basketball?
I plan on going back to PT for my back for a little bit. And then once I feel really strong in my body, probably after a month or two, head overseas and play internationally somewhere. I was trying to get wait out for a Chinese deal, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen this year, politically speaking. But we'll see where it pans out. Don't know where I'm going to end up, but definitely plan on going to play overseas.
Well, appreciate your insight and have a good off season.
Thank you.
Mai, did you have a question?
How did she get on?
You in my business, Lay. Yeah, I have a question for Leilani Mitchell. Leilani?
Can I see your qualifications as a news reporter, please?
How did Maisha get that background?
Say, no, I don't have a question.
Thank you for showing
See
up
y'all later.
today. Bye.
See y'all later.
Don't be late.
Thanks, TP. Thanks, Lay. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
How'd she get
Bye,
on?
Lay.
Dream.
Hey, Maisha, how are you doing? I don't think I could hear you. Is that me on my end?
No, she's muted in the Zoom.
That was me. My bad.
Gotcha. There we go. Cool. Appreciate you. And thank you for taking out the time. Quickly, to start off, just curious, I know it's literally been 24 hours, but, I guess when you kind of look back and think back about this season, what are some of the things that kind of stand out the most about, the adversity that you guys had to overcome and just the way everything kind of shook out? I don't know if it's a frustration or things that could have been, but I'm just curious, when you look back and think back, what stands out the most to you?
Definitely like both of what you just said. Like frustrating as in like so many injuries and things we had to overcome throughout the whole season. That's like the frustrating part, but that's the game of basketball. When you play sport, injuries is a part of the game. So just for us to adapt to that and, even have a chance to make the playoffs, not making it, but just have a chance to do it when we're in practices sometimes, like not even having enough players to do a walkthrough or a practice. So, I mean, from that standpoint, it's just like we've been through so much, and I'm glad that we were able to get this far and, still have a chance to make the playoffs. Because, I mean, just like TP said towards the end of her interview, I caught the end of it, of, her saying, like, we have some great players and great pieces, and great, like, people overall, like, we're just great people. So it's like not being able to actually, like, play. I know for, like, some people, not just speaking for myself, but not to be able to play in some of the basketball games, but still to be around the team and just have that chemistry. So yeah, I mean, it was frustrating, but it's the game of basketball. The chips just didn't fall in our favor this year.
I'm curious, you individually, what was the season like for you? Last year really was your breakout. But you weren't sneaking up on anybody this year, and there were game plans for you, and I'm sure you were defended differently. I'm curious, what was this season like for you in those terms, with a bigger role and a bigger reputation going into games, and teams scouting you out, and more than certainly more than in the past, I would assume.
Yeah. It's definitely like a privilege to actually like be on a scouting report. I remember like in college, my coach would always like joke around like, "Oh yeah, you're not on the scouting report for this, or you're not on the," like jokingly saying it. So just to be on the scouting report, I guess it's a privilege. But for me personally, like this season was just so many highs and lows because of one injury, my knee. Like I've never ever had a serious injury before, and then to sit out so many games and just have to like just be patient and trust my body and trust the trainers and the doctors. So that was annoying. And then when I got sick, that was even more annoying because we were really trying to make a playoff push, and then I get sick, and then now I have to sit out and try to come. Like it was just, this season was so many highs and lows, but I'm just grateful that I was able to play in the last game and like finish it out, like not have to be on the sideline watching the last game, so I'm grateful for that opportunity.
And just the last one for me, big off season for you. Have you thought about heading into the off season and free agency, that kind of stuff, and are you optimistic about it? It's a big opportunity for you. Just any thoughts you have in terms of that going into the off season?
And yeah, like I have thought about it. I know it's like gonna be a big thing for me, because it's like it's my first year like being in this situation, and like you said before, just having the season that I did in the bubble, and parts of this season too, just showing what I'm capable of doing and what I can bring to the team. So yeah, I've thought about it, and I'm trying not to think about it as much. Like before I left the gym, I was actually talking to Tosh about like this, but she's like, don't even stress about it, don't even worry about it. So that's what I'm going to do. Just whatever happens.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for everything all season long. You've always been great.
Thank you. No, you've always been great.
Sometimes, not always. All right,
always,
I'm turning it over.
Kellen.
Hey, Maisha, good to see you.
Hey, Kellen.
Mike was just saying, I think early on in his just presser that the team's not in rebuild mode, but maybe like reset button mode and kind of redeveloping an identity. I guess how close do you think the team is to? Obviously, we've talked about injuries and all these things, all this stuff that the team has had to go through this season. But how close is a team do you feel to being where you want it to be? And obviously, I assume that's the playoffs and maybe a deep playoff run. But how close is it to that? Do you think it is?
Real close. I mean, this year I feel like if we keep talking about injuries, but that's just how our chips fell this year. But I felt like if we were able to stay healthy the whole season, then I mean we would be right up in there, the top 4 teams. We competed with all of the teams this year, close games. So for me, I think we're really close. We're not in the. I know Coach T was talking when we all had our meeting today with him of us not being a good shooting team, 3-point shooting team, and defensive team. We weren't good at that. So I mean, those are some of the things we got to work on in the off season, just so we can get back up to Mystic basketball, what everyone knows and what we strive for. And I mean, that's a deep run in the playoffs. So yeah.
And was it just, did it feel like there was just not enough opportunities to kind of, because of people not being on the court, to kind of mesh in a way that you wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard when you don't have a full practice, like people practicing, like full team practicing, and then we also didn't have scout guys this year. Once we came back from Olympics, then you also have Olympians who had to go away too. So it's just like a lot of stuff just was not working in our favor this year, with us just having chemistry, and also me coming late to not even being at training camp and meeting the team in Indiana for was it the 3rd game or 4th game in. So I mean, it's hard to find chemistry and just maintain it, and also find our identity, because that what Coach was talking about, just finding our identity. We were really unable to do that this year. So yeah.
And last one for me, is there, and this may be a odd way to ask this, but would you have done anything differently? Like I guess you can't do it. Injuries are, you never know when those are going to happen. But would you have done anything differently to kind of maybe, I don't know, to have more consistency on the team?
Yeah, like win games.
That works.
If we would have won one more game, I mean, there you have it. But yeah, wait, what was the question?
Well, I guess what would you have done differently? The controllable stuff, maybe not so much the injuries, which sometimes you can't really control.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't control that. But controllables, I mean, yeah, I'll get back to you on that one.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Maisha.
My thing is just winning one more game. That was it for me.
Okay. Answer. Thanks.
Last question to Gabe.
Hey, Maisha, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time. I was just wondering, next year when you come back, what is the one thing, if there's one thing that you could change about your game in this off season heading into next year, what would it be?
That's a great question. I don't think it's just one thing, to be honest with you. For me, right now, I need to get back to going into players as in the post, getting into players, not shying away from the contact or not taking the hit. That's one of the biggest things for me right now, as well as continuing to improve my shot and my decision making. The coaches talked about a lot of me being a playmaker. So just having the opportunity, which I will have, to have the ball in my hand sometimes to help Tosh off. I mean, just being able to make plays, whether that's, you know, on the defensive end or the offensive end, just being able to make plays.
Okay, cool. And do you know your off-season plan, your overseas plans yet, or / you want to share them?
Yeah, no, I signed with the team in Italy. So we will see. Right now they're saying 10 days. Got to be there in 10 days, but we will see how that's gonna play out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and good luck, and can't wait to see you next year.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it, Mai. Thank you. Appreciate your time as always.
Thank you. Is that Kara?
Yeah, it's Kara.
Okay, bye, Kara. And you
Bye,
guys
Mai.
were awesome too, media.
First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.